And we are live. Thank you very much for joining us today. No one in the comments section, slightly disappointed, but I'll live, I'll get over it. Today, as always, we have the best cast on a Sunday evening at 8 o'clock that I could gather together. We've got our special guest today. I'm going to start with James Rowe. Welcome back, James. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Nice to be back again. I hope everybody's keeping well.
We are. We're going to start from the bottom and move our way to the top. Just above James, it's Simon Powell, the chef, a.k.a. the chef. We thought we'd give him his real name today just because, like, that's what we're like. We share the love. Huh? Simon, say hello to everyone.
It's only taken 6 months for you to say Powell.
I didn't know it. That's what it was.
Evening, everyone. We are the best, and we know it.
It's our man, Jerome Marks, the Marksman. How you doing?
All good, boys. Nice to see everyone again.
I thought we would cut off there. Someone had cut your phone wires or something. And it's our chief scout. It's Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Hello, everybody out there. Thanks for joining us.
Very good. Let's even this up a bit. There we go. There's been a lot going on today, and it's this week, and it's probably something to do with the fact that transfer deadline day has started on Monday, and the Premier League starting, and leagues, and it feels like it's starting to get back to normal. So I feel like the agents are starting to ring around, speak to a few people, and it's starting to get going. Today we are going to start with one of our very own. Ainsley Maitland-Niles could potentially be on his way out of Arsenal. There was rumours back before the pandemic started that Ainsley Maitland-Niles had gone to Mikel Arteta and said that he wanted to play in central midfield, his preferred position. Since then, if you look at it, Ainsley Maitland-Niles hasn't really featured at right back since then, and it looks as though it could be the end of the line for Maitland-Niles. He's come through the ranks at Arsenal. How bad would it be if someone like Ainsley Maitland-Niles was to leave Arsenal? What message does it send, Steve?
Well, it'd be terrible because he'd be one of our 1 to 3 names that we'd have to leave. So that'd be bad for a start. But he could easily be the first player out the door, and I can see it happening. He's been non-existent since Arteta's came into the club. The attitude of him behind closed doors hasn't been great, and we all know that Arteta won't stand for that. We've brought in Hendricks, who I like, and there doesn't seem to be any sign of Berylin going at the moment. And he's certainly not good enough to play in the position where he wants to play, and that's in the Arsenal midfield, or even cover, for that matter, in my opinion. So Ainsley, I think maybe 20 million. I think we should still get for him, and I think the money could be on him to be first out the door.
Yeah. Jerome, do you think 20 million would be enough for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and do you think we should be selling him?
God, I think we'll be very lucky to get 20. Like, very lucky. I mean, what's the right price for him? Maybe between 10 and 15 I'd take for him, I think. Mm-hmm.
It's one of them. It's because he's English as well. Like, you always add an extra couple of pound on because they're English.
Also, the thing is that whoever buys him is probably going to play him central midfield, and he hasn't really played a lot of games there for us. So you're asking a club to spend a lot of money on a player that hasn't really played in the position that they're going to be playing. So I'd take 15 all day long for Maitland-Niles, especially with the way things are at the moment.
Yeah, and you'd be looking to sell.
Yeah, he's not a starting player for us, is he? In central midfield. So I'd take the money. But as I say, I don't think we'll get 20, closer to 15 maybe.
So, what's your thoughts on Maitland-Niles potentially leaving the Arsenal?
Sell.
Would sell?
Yep, sell. I don't think anyone will miss him. He's not really on board. He's not on board with the manager. He's fallen out with Arteta numerous times because he wants to play central midfield. He played first 3 times in central midfield, and he ended up costing us 2 goals in some of those games. But I don't rate him, to be honest. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's a good player and he's all right at right back, but he's not a natural right back. Get rid of him and get rid of Bellerin and go and get another right back to go with Cedric. That's what I'd do.
But do you genuinely see Arsenal selling Bellerin?
Yeah.
No.
I see him. I think he'll go this summer.
What makes you think Bellerin is going to leave Arsenal?
I don't think he's the same player that he used to be, and I think Arteta knows that.
Yeah, but this is your thoughts on what Arteta thinks. This isn't what is like. If do you genuinely think we'll sell up Bellerin this summer?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I do. You could sell him and get what's his name from Norwich? Max Evans.
Yeah, but this is all coulds. This is all coulds. This is all coulds. I'm talking about. Have you read anything that makes you feel like Bellerin's out the door this summer?
No, I've not read anything that says he'll be out the door. But I think if Arsenal wanted to sell him, they could sell him.
Yeah, this is what I mean. I just don't see Arsenal selling a Bellerin and selling a potential player that could play in that position as a backup player or rotation player. It just and plus you haven't seen Cedric play for Arsenal yet, and it just seems like there would be a very extreme thing to do is to get rid of what has been maybe not on the pitch your strongest player, but in the dressing room and the things that he says off the pitch, he's been a captain. If I'm honest, and we can't. I don't think you can dismiss that with regards to trying to keep a team together when you're a new manager. But that's much my opinion. I think it would be silly for Arteta to get rid of someone who's a leader in the team at such an early stage in his managerial career. I've seen one thing though, where Bellerin says that if Arsenal are not competitive, he will leave basically. And it's like, well, this is the same guy that said Alexis Sanchez wanted too much. So I don't see Bellerin. I don't see Bellerin as a captain. I see him more as a fashion model than a footballer, to be honest. But that's just me. That's what we're here for. Debates. James, sorry, I'll go to you in a second, Jerome. But James, what kind of a message do you think it sends to the youth team that we're getting rid of someone like Ainsley Maitland-Niles when I can't really say he's done badly in a position and player that's playing in a position that is not his position?
Well, I look at it from the other way. Not too long ago, I interviewed Charlie Gilmore, who left Arsenal last summer to go. He's currently was on loan in the Netherlands at Telstar and signed for Norwich. Mm-hmm. And I remember what he said to me. He came through the Arsenal Youth Academy from the beginning all the way up to the end. And he said to me, that when you leave Arsenal, you automatically think, because you've come through the Arsenal youth setup, that you're going to have clubs queuing up for you. Mm-hmm. And you think you might have like lots and lots of choice. But in the case of Charlie Gilmore, he was saying that he did have choices, but they also had their doubts as to how a young player could fit into a men's game because they want to play men's football straight away. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I don't know exactly where he's going to go. I don't know where he thinks he's going to go from Arsenal. And I think it's a very dangerous precedent when you've got players in a squad to come out and dictate what they want and what they can and what they can't do. Like, for example, if they don't see enough improvement, if they're not played in their correct position. As a player, you can't choose. You know, obviously if you're being picked by the manager, which is great, but also the hard work that Maitland-Niles has gone in to get through that academy. I just think it's a little bit dangerous when you've got players saying, oh, if I'm not playing in my right position, I'm off. Well, where are you going to go first and foremost? You know, not every transfer is a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow transfer. Not every single one. You know, you've got so many factors to deliver in terms of how deals are thrashed out and that kind of thing. It's simply not the case of we're linked with it. We're linked with him. It's a done deal. So I'm looking at it from the other side, where I think, where is Maitland-Niles? Where does he think he's going to go? Where does he think? What position does he think he's going to play in? And I think it's very dangerous to start dictating, especially at that young age, what you think you can and can't do.
Yeah.
Especially to a club the size of Arsenal.
Yeah. I'm on the side of, for me, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Before this, I was like, I think it's time to go. Not just for Arsenal. I think it's time for the player, because if he really does feel that passionate about playing in such a specific position, then this is the time where he's got to cement down his position, and he's well within his rights to want that. But again, if you are at a club like Arsenal, it's very hard to dictate where you're playing and pinpoint where you're saying you're going to play when you've got. Are you saying you're better than the people that are currently in front of you? I don't think he is. But right now, it's just his versatility, and it just depends how we are in this situation right now, how we come out of this. It's a bit of a sticky one if you're getting rid of a player who's quite versatile, and you've got no one else that can do that. Tough one. Yeah. What are you saying, Jerome?
Yeah. No, it's a shame with Maitland-Niles, because I think he's got ability. He's got a lot of good attributes that the modern day footballer has, especially when he's been playing at right back. He's very athletic. He's quick. He's tidy on the ball. And he could have made the right back position his own while Bellerin was out. But I think, like the boys have said, he's obsessed with playing in the central midfield position, and to play central midfield for us, you've got to be excellent. And obviously, he hasn't shown that enough playing in the middle, whether it's in, I don't know, training games or just on the whole. And with going back to dictating things, what James mentioned, that's what I was going to say about Bellerin. I don't think Bellerin's recent performances, I don't think he's in a position to start dictating if he was to leave, like a club to go to. So I don't think he's been that great recently. I know he's been injured, but since he's come back. So it's player power, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them things. How much do you believe that these things have actually gone down? The Ainsley Maitland-Niles, it kind of rings true, because from when you heard that he said that he wanted to play midfield, he hasn't actually played at right back since. He's played, like Si said, he played a couple of games in midfield, and he weren't that great. So it just feels like there is something in that story. So yeah, I mean, who knows? There are reports that Everton are looking at him, and Man City, which is the one that sort of makes me think Man City looking at him clearly because of his versatility. That's the only reason why they would be looking at him, because they feel that he could play in loads of positions and just cover. But are you happy to go to Man City and be cover for every position there? You're getting about 10, 15 games a season, if that. So yeah, I mean, good luck to him. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be sold. It just depends how we come out of this. Next up, and this is the big one. Yeah, this one is going to resonate in the souls of probably 95% of Arsenal fans. Granit Xhaka has announced that he sees his long-term future at Arsenal. Now, see, Jerome's done. Jerome is like, nah, not having it.
Yeah.
After his outbursts to the fans, his wishy-washy apology, Arteta has seen a player in him. Since Arteta has come in, you cannot deny that his performances have been upped. But is that enough for the hardest of Arsenal fan who said they wanted him out? We're going to start with you, Simon.
Just pretend that this is a flower and I'm holding it for Psycho Mank. Sorry, mate, but it looks like he's bloody stained on it. I don't know. I really don't want to see Granit Xhaka and Partey together. I really don't want to see it. Because Partey will just be like Torreira. Well, if it happens, if it happens and he comes to us and we have to watch him with Granit Xhaka, I want to see what they can do. But I know it's going to be same as Torreira. He's going to be doing all the work in midfield, and Xhaka's going to be pinging these balls left, right, and centre. And fair enough to a degree, he's looked better than what he did under Emery and Wenger under Arteta. I'll give him that. So obviously Arteta's seen something that we all haven't. But I can just see basically Partey, if he comes, doing a Torreira, doing everything in midfield and getting so pissed off and getting overworked, and then the fans cursing Xhaka again. I thought he would gone me after his outburst in the stadium, but Arteta is the manager. He's the one that makes these decisions.
It's the thing. When someone's done something under a previous regime or a previous manager, if that manager's not got rid of him and they're getting a new manager, that's not that manager's. It's not really that manager's. I mean, it can be that manager's thing to get rid of him, but it wasn't under him. So the discipline could be different. It's a tough one. James, what do you feel about the whole? Just ask you on the situation with the Granit Xhaka, and do you feel that Mikel Arteta should have kept him, or do you feel that Mikel Arteta should have said, "No, you've done this to the club, and I'm not respecting that, and you should go"?
You fell away there, Kieran. Can you repeat that, mate?
I was just saying, do you think that Mikel Arteta is right to be keeping Granit Xhaka, or do you feel like he should move him on when his transfer window opens?
Well, it's strange because if you look at how long Xhaka's been at Arsenal and the impact that he hasn't really had that everybody thought that he was going to have. I mean, you look at his price tag. I think it was 35 million euros, and we could have got in Conte if it's cheaper. But I just get the impression with Xhaka that I think it's just my personal opinion. I think he wants it easy. He's saying that he wants his long-term future at Arsenal because it's easy. Whereas if you look at his career, look at his past career. I think he played for Basel, played for Borussia Mönchengladbach, captained Borussia Mönchengladbach, as far as I'm aware. And at times that was a little bit too much for him. And, players also have to kind of know their limits and everything. And I think he's just maybe a little bit frightened of moving on. But also his reaction after the Crystal Palace game was extremely unprofessional. Mm-hmm. And, issue an apology straight away. First and foremost, don't do such a thing. And secondly, nip that in the bud straight away. Don't do it when you come to a transfer window and you think you might be moved on. I mean, it's a tricky one. Do you give him another season to try and see if he can if there is finally a player in there that everybody expected him to be, or do you move him on? It's difficult, really. I think that decision lies with Arteta, because you think with Xhaka playing under Wenger, playing under Emery, I really do think that this one lies with Arteta and what he wants to do going forward. As to say before we come on the pod, Simon was saying about reading the papers and people linking Thomas Partey with Arsenal. Does Arteta want physicality in the midfield? Does he want a powerhouse in the midfield? Is he going to go that way? Well, if he's going to go that way, Xhaka needs to be moved on. But if he's not going to go that way, then maybe there's a future for him still. So I think this decision lies very much with Mikel Arteta.
Yeah. Steve, what's your feeling on Xhaka cementing his future at Arsenal, saying he wants to stay long term?
I've always seen a player in him. And I'm not the only one who's seen a player in him.
I think you are.
Arteta likes him. I like him. He's made mistakes. There's no doubt about that. But so I've always seen something in him. I've seen him play for Switzerland and run the game. I've seen him play at Borussia Mönchengladbach and run the game. When he was mentioned back, he was one of the top midfield players in the country. And since Arteta's came in, I don't care what anybody says, you can't fault him. He's not put a foot wrong since Arteta's come in. So Arteta's seen that. He might have seen what he's done before, right? But he's said to him, look, you back up your ideas, You do what I want you to do, and then we'll see. And I don't care. You've got to say he's played well since Arteta's come in the club. And next season, pray to God that we're going to have a better midfield come in. And let's see what he's like in a better midfield, because he plays in an absolutely awful midfield. So I'd like to see him play with Partey, and then I'd like to have a look as far as the thing that he did, the outburst that he did. I mean, we don't want to go on back of that. To be honest with you, I probably would have done the same to the crowd, but that's just my personality. But he should have come out with an apology, because he's obviously we all know what was said, and I wouldn't have stood for it either.
Because you're the captain.
But he should have apologised straight away. Yeah, he should have apologised straight away. He should have been professional. But going back to the football, I think Arteta likes him. He wants to give him a chance, and let's see what he's like in a better midfield. And as I say, since he has come in, he ain't put much wrong.
Yeah, I could see the pain in Jerome's eyes as soon as I mentioned the name Granit Xhaka. Come on, Jerome. Is there any way Granit Xhaka could change your mind?
He could potentially do it, but I know that he won't. The thing is, since the Vieira days, so since 96, 97, up until a few years ago, the central midfield for us was probably the strongest part of the pitch. And nowadays it's so important. If we've got Granit Xhaka in the middle of our midfield next season, or for however many seasons, we're not going to come in the top four. I don't care what quality players the other 10 players. If you've got Granit Xhaka in the middle of the pitch, he's not a player that's going to get you into the top four. No way. He just isn't. He hasn't got the attributes for a Premier League central midfielder. Maybe for a team in the bottom half of the table, but not for a team that's trying to challenge.
I don't think he can deal with league.
Jerome is not having it. He's not having it. He's like, nah, not having it. Look,
since he's come, how have we done since he's arrived? I know it's not only him, but since he's come.
Yeah, but I to be honest,
and I don't think it's a coincidence.
I can't put it down to Granit Xhaka. I put a massive part down to the fact we lost Santi Cazorla for however many seasons. We have had no midfield since then. Before that, it's touch and go. Jack Wilshere was here and there and everywhere, every now and again. Alex Song was here and there when he wanted to. Arsenal's midfield has not been the midfield for years. I can't put that down to Granit Xhaka. Does he have faults in his game? Massive faults in his game. His mobility is awful, but there's very good things in his game, and I think some people pick it apart too much. I think he needs to work on it. He needs to work on his positioning and his mobility. I feel like it's bad habits, his mobility, because it's stick out a leg, stand in one spot, do the okey-dokey, and that's no good. You've got to be more mobile, and that starts up here. If he's just thinking, oh yeah, I'll just stick out a leg there, that's why he's giving away silly fouls as well. I think he give him one more season, and then it's on your way out. I don't feel like we're going to lose that much more money on him than the fact that there was even a £40 million bid for him, or there was talk of a £40 million bid from Heta in January. Was mind-boggling, considering he's not been on form since. I thought I saw a promise in his first season. So,
I've got a question.
Go on.
I've got a question on Xhaka. If he was at another club, and we were linked with him, how much would you spend to buy Granit Xhaka? What would you spend on him if he was at another club?
On what form? On what we're seeing at Arsenal?
Yeah. How he is now, what would you spend?
15.
I would have. I don't know.
I think you'll get more than that. You'll get more than that.
But I don't know. That's a tough one, Jerome, because you're asking us to judge Granit Xhaka off what I've seen is 2 bang average seasons.
Right, there's your answer then.
So, but he's in our team. It's completely different. He's in our team. We're not buying it.
With other players.
How much do you watch these other players at other teams? How much do you pick at their game from their other teams? Because I've seen Granit Xhaka have a good game, and someone turn around and go, "Yeah, but in the 34th minute at 15 seconds, he done one misplaced pass," and that's mental because I've seen Alexis Sanchez misplaced passes, lose the ball. Yeah, he smashes it up, but it's things like that where people will pick holes out of people's game because they don't like them. And not on other people's.
Yeah.
Squadron Mustafi, David Luiz were our best defenders since Arteta has come in, yet people will still say, Mustafi's starting. Hey, he's a clown, he's a joke, look at his hair. It's like, excuse me, he's absolutely smashed it. He made one mistake in his early doors in his first game against Chelsea. Since then, he's been decent. And I'd sell him now because it's the most amount of money you'd probably get for him, but still, he's been decent. So it's like I'm judging him based on what the manager's doing. I didn't rate the last manager, so I'm not judging that. I'm judging this now. So we'll soon see. It's time.
One thing I will say though, when Steve says I've watched him for Switzerland and he's done well in games, I'll back Steve up there. I've never watched him for Arsenal run a game, but I've seen him for Switzerland run 2 games.
It's different because he doesn't play as deep for Switzerland. He plays a little bit more forward. He's meant to be a deep line playmaker at Arsenal. He's moved up the pitch a bit more for Switzerland, and they want him to score goals. They want him to take these long range shots. They love him for that. I don't know. It's time to get on to some of the players that have been linked to Arsenal and other clubs, I might add. First of all, Ibrahim Sangare, Toulouse defensive midfielder, a bit of a beast from what I'm hearing. I can see Steve twitching. I can see Steve is like, "Please, come on," chomping at the bit to have a go. Go on, Steve, it's your turn. This is where you come. Go on.
It's just because you just used the same word that I was thinking when I was watching him play.
I apologise. Next time, I'm just going to say the name and then not say anything.
We used exactly. No, it's a little bit too much.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is with Arsenal and 22-year-olds, but I don't know if it's a lucky number of Tetters or something. But but he's they're comparing him to Yaya Toure, Michael Essien type players. He plays for Toulouse. This is Beauty and the Beast rolled into one. The beauty is what he does on the football pitch.
Love that.
What a comparison!
He is. What he does on the football pitch is beautiful. And what he does, but he's a beast. He's tall. He's tough in a tackle. He has a great touch. He's got this sharp turn of pace. He powers through the midfield like a freight train. It's like it's like they're scared of him. It gives this aura to the opposition that I'm better than you. You're not stopping me. And I haven't seen that for quite a while. That's the aura he gives off when he plays football. He's a frightening player to be up against. He's quality. This kid's quality. I've got to stop saying kid because it's making me really feel old. I'm saying it too often these days. But quality. Really good player. I'd love him to see him at Arsenal. Really love him to see him at Arsenal. All
right. Well, Jerome, go on. Tell me about Mr. Sangare.
I'm going to agree with Mr. Steve K on this one. So he was part of Toulouse's. He was part of Toulouse's team that got relegated. So, in terms of a price, we might be able to pick him up for some, or he might go for, probably not a silly amount of money. As a DM last season, he actually attempted the most amount of dribbles as a DM. And out,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So So for us, so say Torreira's more get the ball and give it, whereas this guy is a DM, but he'll dribble with it. Obviously, being a DM, he doesn't score too many goals.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the job of other people in the team.
Yeah.
He does pick up quite a few yellow cards. He's got, I think, pretty much 1 in 3 he picks up a yellow. But he's big. He's 6'3", quick, strong, skillful. He looks like a Premier League centre midfielder. And it'll be interesting to see where he does end up.
Mm-hmm. Simon, do you think Sangare is the guy for the job? Do you think he could potentially edge Mr. Xhaka out of the window and slot in his position?
Yeah, immediately. Easy. Yeah. I thought he was like what Jerome said. I thought he was a mixture between Kante and Torreira. Where he'll put his head in the way, he'll put his body in front of the way to stop that ball, basically, from going to the opponents. And then the way he dribbles with the ball, Torreira, we know, don't dribble with the ball whatsoever. But when you watch N'Golo Kante dribble with the ball, he's actually quite good at it. This kid is exactly the same as N'Golo Kante for dribbling, and the way he's not scared to put a tackle in. He controls that midfield as well. He's always he knows what's around him, basically. Mm-hmm. And he's always looking for that player to come towards him, and he's split second to think, am I going to get past him and power up past him, or just pass it to the next person and he's off. That's what we need in our midfield. Not someone that picks the ball up, takes 20 touches, looks up, and then decides, they're all back. Right, turn round. Here, Leno, you have it. We don't need that.
I mean, it's an option. I mean, I can't disagree with any of you. He looks like an absolute beast. James, do you feel like the standard DM is still a position that Arsenal need, or do you think maybe times have changed in football and you need a bit more of an all-round midfielder in that position now? Hello, James.
Yeah, if I can just add to what Jerome said as well, with the Sangare was relegated with Toulouse. Mm-hmm. I've said it before when I was on this channel. Why is nobody looking at Borgio from Rennes? Nobody's looking at him. And he scores a lot more goals than what Sangare does. He's a set-piece specialist as well. He's getting penalties and corners. And we need more goals from midfield. And I can't believe that everybody is sleeping on this guy. I can't be the only one in the world. I can't be the only one in the world based in Amsterdam that thinks Benjamin Borgio from Rennes is an absolute quality player.
There must be something.
At a player like him, because he scores goals, set pieces, and assists as well.
Bloody hell. Making it look bad here, James. I've never heard of this person.
It can't always be about physicality, can it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's what to send to our signal that Arsenal. Did Arsenal move to the Emirates to go on to sign players that were relegated at former clubs? No, we didn't. We've got a tremendous opportunity this summer, as of tomorrow, when the window is open, as Simon says as well. We've got a tremendous opportunity tomorrow to be sensible and to treat that money as if it's your own. Don't go out and waste it. Make sure before anyone signs on the bottom line, that is the player we want, that is the player we need. Stop looking at names and start looking at backgrounds. Start looking at former clubs. Start looking at injury records. And if you have to take a week or two longer, then so be it. Because what you don't want is overpriced average players on a huge wage bill that you can't get rid of. Yeah. So it's an opportunity as of tomorrow to learn from our mistakes and take our time and, most importantly, get it right.
But
Well said. He's got me fired up here.
Bravo! No, James is 100% right. James is 100% right. If there's any time you're going to have to look within your ranks first. Every time you're going to look again, it's now. You've had 2 months to do that. So maybe that's why Mikel Arteta got rid of 10 scouts, because they weren't looking again. And he looked at their previous and saw nothing. So it's been very disappointing. And it seems to me that so Mikel Arteta's come in, he's looked around and thought, you've got a lot of the same. And we need some creativity. We need some flair in the team. And I just don't see it. What have you scouts been doing? And this is my assumption. But this is what a lot of Arsenal fans have been calling out for years. What are the scouting system doing? Because we used to find gems in unknown places. And now no one's getting them. It's not like someone's taken up that mantle and they're going to grab them players as well. Like no one's grabbing players from Brevin and all these teams in Belgium, second division or first division. They're not buying these players. So Arsenal just aren't doing the scouting anymore. It's been poor. That's why I see the 10 have gone. Next up, this is a name that next up is Marcel Sabitzer. The RB Leipzig central midfielder, versatile midfielder, right winger, forward. He plays everywhere. This is the kind of player that I think every team wants. He's been linked to Tottenham, AC Milan, Arsenal, Newcastle. Everyone's going to be after this guy, and he's got a really good goal contribution this season so far. Jerome, I know you know about this guy. Do you think Arsenal should be signing him?
He's in short, yes. He's excellent, isn't he? I think you mentioned about scoring goals. I think his coach maybe a couple of seasons ago said like you got to start scoring some more goals, and he has done. What strikes me about him is his work rate and his energy. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you can see from looking at him, he gives 100%. Like you can see that. He reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if it's just because he's got quite long hair, but the way and he wears number 7. He reminds me a little bit of Rizuki. The way he plays,
the way he runs and moves as well.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Jeff Hendricks from Burnley. You know, where he's a bit busy, where he's a bit like that. Yeah. He reminds me of him. It reminds me of him.
Yeah. No, he looks excellent. Yeah. Very, very impressed with him.
And before anyone says Jeff Hendricks, AC Milan are after him, just to let you know, a little bit of transfer news going out there, straight from the transfer exchange. Simon, Marcel Sabitzer, do you think he would be the right fit for Arsenal? Versatile player?
I think he'd be right fit for Arteta. The way he just works for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember a team that he played against Champions League, and he was absolutely unbelievable.
Tottenham.
Wait. No, there's another one as well. There was another one where they were raving about him. It was after Tottenham.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it were now, but a few days later, he got linked to United, Arsenal, City, Real Madrid, newspapers, what they do. And then he got linked to everyone. But in that game, the second one, not the Tottenham, that game, he absolutely ran for 90 minutes. And then when the game had finished and he'd gone down the tunnel, if you can see it on BT, because it was on BT, he actually threw up in the tunnel. He threw up in the tunnel because he'd done that much. And then the manager went over and actually basically got round his, neck, with shoulder, and picked him up and walked him into changing rooms. He got man of match as well that night. I remember that.
If you're putting it in brilliant. That much, if you're putting it in that much, you deserve something. You deserve something. Steve, you're going to hit me with some stats now, aren't you?
I'm going to hit you with some stats. If you want stats, I've got stats.
Hit me with some stats. Come on.
But just quickly, I mean, I just got because the boys who they remind him of. He is a very powerful, literally goal-scoring midfield player who's thought of in Germany as one of the best in the Bundesliga. He reminded me of a bit of what I see of a bit of a Frank Lampard. Running everywhere, he was back, he was right, he was left, he was in the box, he was shooting, he scored from outside the box, inside the box. He was a bit of everywhere, very similar to Frank Lampard, I thought. But, so it's amazing what you see. This season, he scored 20. He's played 28 games. He scored 9 goals with 6 assists with 65 shots. So you could tell with a player with those type of stats is someone who's just continuously on the go, not for the whole 90 minutes. He's perfect for the Premier League. Physically well built, very skillful, and like I've already said, he's incredibly dangerous in front of a goal. But there's no reports coming out of Germany from Bild or Kicker, which are the biggest publications in Germany. He's under a very good manager at the moment in Nagelsmann. Sorry if I've butchered that name. And at the moment, he is guaranteed Champions League football with Leipzig. So it's going to be a difficult one to get away. But like the boys have already said, absolute top draw footballer.
Yeah, and we can't forget that Leipzig are a club that they're there to sell their players. They're there to get their players in cheap, sell them on at a profit. Getting players only under the age of 25, they've got their things in place. That this is why they get these players in. James, I was not ignoring you. It's just that the next one is kind of geared towards you. Nicolas Tagliafico has been linked with Arsenal and Chelsea. Tagliafico, sorry. If anyone is going to correct me on this, I'm awful at pronouncing names. I'm terrible. He's been linked with Arsenal and Chelsea, left back. It seems a bit of a weird one for Arsenal because we've got Kieran Tierney in there, we've got Kolasinac. It seems like it could be 2 first teamers battling out against each other. What are you saying on this one?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think Kolasinac won't be here next season. So I think there are legs to it. And also with Tagliafico, when I talk about him, having watched him play live for us since he signed for the club, the best thing about him is his positional play and his temperament. And his temperament in particular reminds me very much of Javier Zanetti of Inter Milan. I'm not comparing him in terms of the same quality, but it's just he's so calm on the pitch. He's got great leadership skills, and you see him. He adapted well into a young Ajax team, and he's well respected in that young Ajax team. And I think he wants a new challenge. I think he's made that quite clear to the club as well. I think it was quite a bit of a secret that he was going to leave, and I think it would be a good move going forward because I think he'll improve as a player, and I think we'll hear more of him in the Argentinian international setup as well because I think he's recently been either capped or brought into the squad. And he's got a great temperament. And if you're looking at characters of players, Arsenal have got to learn from their mistakes in the past in terms of the characters of players that they bring in and the character that the player has. I think this is, if we sign Tagliafico, to me personally, that will prove that we mean business in terms of willingness to change and not to just accept any old player on an exceptionally high wage. If Tagliafico in particular with his temperament, if we sign a character like him, then it really is a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Wow.
Tierney and Tagliafico. Oof.
There we go. Simon, I'm going to go to you because I know you're a massive Kieran Tierney fan, as we all are. We know Kieran Tierney's a player. There's a player in there. We're not doubting him. Do you see as a bit of do you see it as the right move, getting in someone as on that level as Tagliafico, or do you feel that it's a bit too much for Kieran Tierney? It's giving him the wrong sort of message.
I think with Kieran Tierney, with him being Scottish, he thrives on competition. He wants to prove why he should be in the team, and he wants to prove why he should be the best in his position. And with Celtic, when he was Celtic left back, they brought a player in as well that was actually better on the ball and nearly not as good as defensively as Kieran Tierney, but he nudged Tierney out for a few games. And then Tierney basically rolled his socks up, like what Scotsmans do, rolled his socks up and just goes, all right, then I'm having this. And they ended up wasting money on that left back because he could not get back in the team. So the thing with Tagliafico, if you had him and Tierney, it'd be absolutely fantastic because you'd have two left backs that are unbelievable and they're having to fight for that position. But don't think that he'd come in and just be like, oh, he's from Ajax, Tagliafico, a big name, and he's won so many trophies. Tierney will just look at him and go, all right, fair enough, you're my competition, I'll show you, and he will.
But that's what you want.
That's what you want, yeah. That's what you want. But does Tagliafico want to come into that situation as well if he wants to take his game to the next level? That's what he's got to ask him, Sam.
Well, we can't forget that, okay, Ajax are in the Champions League. They've got a great history of it. But you don't see Ajax buying Arsenal's best players. You don't see Ajax being linked with Arsenal's best players. Arsenal go and buy Ajax players. Clubs buy Ajax players. So if Tagliafico's coming, he's coming to a big club. He's not coming to some schmuck down the road. He's coming to a big league. He's coming to a prestigious league and a team with a prestigious name. So it's not a case of he knows he's going to get competition. You're coming to Arsenal. That's without saying. Jerome, what do you think? Do you think it's really a good signing? Do you think it's the right direction, the right move?
I think if we didn't need to look after our money as much, then I think it'd be a very good signing. But I wouldn't spend, because he might cost anywhere from maybe 15, 20 million, and I wouldn't spend that money on a left back when we've already got Tierney. Like we were talking about before, being sensible, and I don't think that'd be a sensible move. Ploughing that money into a left back. We've already got a very good left back there, but undoubtedly he's an excellent player, and he's high quality. But just when we've got Tierney, I wouldn't do it unless you want to swap him for Kolasinac. By all means do that. But no, I don't think it'll happen.
That's kind of where it is, though, Jerome. We're not talking with Tagliafico. It won't be coming in to basically replace Tierney. It is Kolasinac he's coming in to replace. It just gives Tierney more competition as well. So Steve, I think it'd be fantastic.
Steve, what are you saying on this one?
No, I don't. I don't know.
No?
I'm saying I wish he was a right back. I wish he was a right back. No, but no, this, like what James said, exactly. You know what I mean? This kid, he's quality. He is 27 years old, and just I know Simon what he said there. This bloke ain't coming to sit on no bench. He ain't coming to sit on no bench. It's a 27-year-old mean Argentinian international, and I just think this. If Saka and Tierney and Tagliafico are in a line, I had to put one to start in an FA Cup final, Tagliafico would be in that left back position without any shadow of a doubt. And I love Tierney and Saka, but he's hard as nails. He's a winner. He's an excellent crosser of the ball. He's a defender who you do not want to go into a 50-50 tackle with. Believe me, you've only got to look at. He's got that Cellini type of mean look on his face. It does seem that Chelsea are a bit, favourites to get his signature, if anything. But I like him. I really like him a lot. And as I said, Simon was saying about, coming in to sort of fight for the thing with Kolasinac. Nah. No, I don't think it.
Maybe a hand-to-hand combat fight, which
yeah, and I don't know who would win that. That would be one to see, but he would be coming to start. I don't know what James thinks, whether he'd be a starter or I don't know.
Well, I would like to add to that. If Tagliafico does come, he plays. You don't put him on the bench.
That's what, yeah.
And also, Kieran Tierney got injured last December away to West Ham, and there's no guarantee that he's going to come back as good as what he was. Yeah. There's no guarantee that he'll be as promising as what we thought he was going to be. And he's without doubt a promising player, but Tagliafico is already further on from Tierney.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to help to create a winning team, then you put the player that's further on, you put him in that team. And I think there has been reports here in the Netherlands as well linking Tagliafico to Arsenal. And I think if there are legs to it and the money is there, as Jerome says quite rightly, but there are more pressing areas first and foremost. But if the money is there and they can get the deal over the line, I think it would be a very wise thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not out of this question. I'm on with James with regards to if Arsenal are going for this, they mean business. We can't dismiss the fact that we've got two left backs there. Them two left backs weren't playing, and we had to stick our young, promising left winger at left back. He's not a left back; he's a left winger who's playing left back. Now, Kolasinac and Tierney, are they even back if the game starts against Man City now? Are they back for fit? So and Mikel Arteta would have looked at their injury records as well. So Kieran Tierney's injury record since he's come to Arsenal, it's not looking good. He's signed injured. Since then, he's played a handful of games. He's still injured now. Kolasinac, is he a left back or is he a wing back? I'd say he's a wing back. So he doesn't really fit into the plans of Mikel Arteta. And as I said before, I can't look at what Mikel Arteta's doing and not take some comparisons to what I've seen in Man City. Their fullbacks are very integral in their team. And if you're players bombing up and down all day long, you can't rely on someone whose injury record since he's been at Arsenal, no matter how much promise he has, you can't rely on that. You can't go into the season and think, no, do you know what? I'm not going to buy this player because this guy who I've not actually managed to put in my starting lineup has promise. His first game of the season, he's out. You're like, why did I do that? Now he's got to go and get his own team.
And look at the size of physicality. The size and the physicality of the Man City left and right back. Yeah, you got Walker on one side, you got Mendy on the other side. You know, maybe Arteta's thinking that way. You know, because Tagliafico would fit in there.
And I wouldn't rule that out. So Tagliafico to Arsenal, as James says, I think it personally has legs. I think that we're going to see Kolasinac go. I've said that for a while. I just don't think. I think he's a good player. I just think he's versatile, and we don't need that there. We need a left back and a left midfielder. We don't need a wing back. So I think there's something in it, but we will keep on looking. We did have a couple of more, and I know boys are going to kill me here, but we've got like 8 minutes left. We've got a Dutch expert in, and how could I not have a Dutch expert and ask him about some players? The first player, Steve. Steve is going to ask him about. Steve, take it away.
Well, James knows I'm very excited. I'm not going to do too much. He's an 18-year-old player, plays for Young Ajax. James knows who he is. He's taking Ajax by storm at the moment. I'm just going to leave it to James to tell you about this player. And wait, go ahead, James. Kenneth Taylor.
Yeah, Kenneth Taylor. Kenneth Taylor, indeed. You might think that's not a Dutch surname, and it isn't a Dutch surname. But he was born in Alkmaar, so he was born and raised in the Netherlands. And the promise that people are talking about him here is attitude. His attitude is something which is really impressing a lot of people. You know, he's been capped at under 16 and under 17 level as well. And I think I spoke about Gravenberg. I think it was the time before I was on last, and I think Kenneth Taylor, along with Gravenberg, will be the next one to really kind of step out and go on to big things. I mean, we may well see here in the Netherlands. Obviously, CH is leaving for Chelsea. Donny van der Beek. I think the rumours to Madrid are gathering pace, and a few others too. So I think we'll be hearing a lot more of Kenneth Taylor in future.
Yeah. I mean, he reminds me, James, of a young Dennis Bergkamp. He seems to have all the mannerisms, and you know, I know that's a big, a big statement to make and put on the kid, but you know, from what I've been seeing of him, I mean, his passing, his vision, his creativity, his technique, his ball control, just fantastic for a kid of 18 years old. I'm really excited about him.
Yeah.
Well, again, it comes down to attitude, Steve. This is from a young age. He's been well taught. The academy is highly thought of the world over due to the education that the players receive, and how receptive they are to the education as well. That they're always striving for perfection. It's not just about playing; it's about respecting your teammates. It's about respecting the game. It's about improving as a player. And Kenneth Taylor in particular has had that in him from a young age. Especially with attitude and timing of his passes and the willingness to learn. And we've known about him here for quite some time, but it's nice that other people are picking up on him because, especially
Yeah, no, he's a very good player, and I see what Steve means by the comparisons to Dennis Bergkamp. It's not just because he has blonde hair and his movement is very much like that. It's his mannerisms around the pitch, and I think Steve is just pining for another Dennis Bergkamp out there. The next,
Aren't we all?
Yeah, next one that's come up. This kid has massively impressed me. He's won the golden ball at the last under-17s World Cup in Brazil. Please go out there and check out this kid. In fact, you can go onto an Instagram page now, after this pod, go onto Instagram after this pod and go and check out the little video that we've done of Sonji Hansen, This kid, I'm not even going to say who I think he reminds me of, but this kid is, in my eyes, is something special. He's been linked to Man City. James, I know you know a little bit about him, and Steve is going to actually blow us out the water with what he knows about him. But you were saying he recently had his debut before the pandemic, was it?
Well, he made his debut in a cup game against Telstar, which was Charlie Gilmore was also played in that game, formerly of Arsenal, and then subsequently played in the match against ADO Den Haag a couple of days later, and very highly rated. Came through the young Ajax, of course, and also under 17, under 16 level as well, and the link to Manchester City. But it got me thinking about Philip Sandler. You guys know Philip Sandler who signed for Man City?
No.
I went to interview him when he was still playing for Pek Zwolle, and he signed from Pek Zwolle to Manchester City. And I'd spoken to him about, I think, 3 weeks after the news broke. And I was sitting in one of the meeting rooms in the stadium in Pek Zwolle, in Zwolle. And I said, you signed for Manchester City, are you really looking forward to it? And he said, yeah. He said, they really sold it to me. He said, they really, really sold it to me. He said, I was a bit unsure, signing for Man City at such a young age, because Sandler was around the same age. And he said that, they really sold it to him, and they really told him that he was going to be a part of the plans. And he said, in particular, the medical took absolutely ages. And then he found himself training with the first team. They told him he'd be training with the first team. They told him you'll be training with the likes of Silva and the likes of Aguero, and that's what really, really kind of made him sold on the project. But then all of a sudden he wasn't playing and wasn't training with the reserves perhaps, and there was rumours about him returning to the Netherlands with either Alkmaar or PSV Eindhoven, and before the season was out, he was loaned to Anderlecht, who were managed by Vincent Kompany. So there is a word of warning for Sonja Hansen, because although to sign for City might sound great and they might sell it to him, the most important thing for any player, particularly a young player here in the Netherlands, the most important thing is that you play. That is the most important thing. Yeah. And I think in the case of Sonja Hansen, the best thing that he can do is stay in Amsterdam for another 2 or 3 seasons. He's only 18 years of age. Not every player has to move at the drop of a hat. Yeah. And I think he will be wise to look at Philip Sandler and look what happened there, and realise that it's not, as I said, as I said at the start of our written night, not transfer is a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. That's the best thing he put 2 or 3 nail down his position in Ajax and then take it.
Yeah, it's very important, especially as it's easy to get excited once you've watched the World Cups or the European Championship, the Youth Europa Leagues or Champions League games. But it is about the players' development, and I said the same thing about Camavinga, where he's been linked to Real Madrid. He's an exceptional talent, and for him to go to Real Madrid now, he has to have assurances that he's going to play week in, week out, because if he doesn't, it's going to ruin his game. And if someone like Camavinga doesn't see his full potential, that's a crime against football, because these players need to be seen. We can't see them at 16 and 17 playing first teams in France and Holland and really looking good and looking like they're coming through, and then they go and make this big move, and then they disappear, and then they end up at Barnsley or something like that. It's heartbreaking. We will actually, James. It's your turn now. You wanted to speak about your some very impressive interviews I've seen most recently. David Thompson, Jamie Carragher, some really good ones. Can you just tell everyone about them a little bit?
Yeah, thanks for that. For those that don't know, my interview with Scott Minto was released today, so they can read that on at James Rowe NL and also World Football Index. And upcoming interviews in the coming weeks will be Kevin Gallagher, also Jamie Carragher, and also a familiar face for Arsenal fans in Kevin Campbell. So really looking forward to seeing how they're received. Also Helen Ward of Watford Ladies, to kind of mix it up a little bit. I don't just interview men footballers, also women footballers as well. So pleased how the Scott Minto interview is being received, and the next one's always the most important, as they say. And publishing every 3 days now, and a few surprises this week as well with the MLS. So onwards and upwards we go.
Nice.
Very, very, very good. Very impressive.
Very nice. Very nice.
We've gone over time, boys. I know. Do you know what? Yeah, like they're all smiling. Yeah, they're all smiling. But I know as soon as I press that end broadcast button, I'm going to have booklets thrown at me. They're going to be cursing. How dare you get us to do that research? And you didn't even ask us about this and that. I apologise. Already. And I don't even want to press the button. Could you just go? And I'll just do a pod on my own because I'm worried. Right? But it just means that we're making sure that our time is filled. And what we haven't put on this week, it means you don't have to do as much homework next week, boys.
You said that last week.
Yeah. I know. Oh God, they're going to start leaving me soon. All right. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for the comments. What I will say is, from next week on, this podcast, all our transfer news will be all transfers. Yes, we're going to take that leap. We're going to show the world of transfers, not just Arsenal transfers, because we do so much research. It would be criminal not to give you everything we've learned. Everything. So
we do so much research.
Hey, it's all for the good of the game. It's for the love of the game. So yeah, thank you very much.
The contract.
Thank you very much, James. I'm going to thank James Rowe again. Thank you very much for coming on tonight, James.
You're more than welcome anytime.
Of course. Simon Sheffield, the chef. Thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Yep. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, James, as well.
The marksman, how you doing, Jerome? Thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thanks, boys. Cheers, nice one.
He's got his Shearer celebration, isn't he? He's like, he's not going to change either.
That's it.
1 to 100. And Steve K, our resident chief scout. Thank you very much for tonight. Thank you very much for all the homework you've been doing. don't crucify me as soon as we come off of this because I missed out a couple of players. The time just goes too fast. Do you know what it is? As soon as someone starts talking, I'm looking at that clock. So, but yeah, thank you very much for everyone tuning in. From now on, it's going to be all transfers. We've got interviews with international managers. We've got interviews with agents. We've got interviews with everyone. South American experts, Dutch experts, French experts, Spanish experts, the lot. Be prepared. Fasten your seatbelts because it's going to be a ride with this channel.
Not just Arsenal as well. Everyone.
Everyone. Peace out. Stay safe and wash your hands. Thank you very much.